Call the Broken Arrow City Council meeting to order. We have invocation by Pastor Rich Maganero.
If we can bow our heads for a word of prayer. Father God, I ask for your blessing on our city tonight. Please help this council move through the challenges that they face, as well as the opportunities that are ahead. May your grace and wisdom guide them. I know that when the enemy comes in like a flood, your spirit comes in as a standard before him. May this council and the leadership of Broken Arrow be in unity. May our city have your hedge of protection, and any plans of evil be overcome with your goodness. Please give our leadership fresh downloads of ideas, solutions, and answers, and tools to help with expansion and growth. And thank you for your watchful eyes. Thank you that you hear our prayers, and may this meeting tonight accomplish all it's meant to complete. In the name of your Son, a great example and a great leader, and may the right candidates get in tomorrow for the state of Oklahoma. Amen.
Amen.
Good luck.
We have our favorites.
Thank you, sir. Roll call.
Green. Here. Ford.
Here.
Parks. Here. Gillespie.
Here.
Wimpy.
Here. Are there any items from the consent agenda to be?
Excuse me, Mayor. Pledge.
I know. Will you please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance with Councilor Clark? Just moving right along.
Salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Now, is there any consent agenda items to be removed?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call. Item 7 is public hearings, appeals, presentation, recognitions, and awards. Item 7A, presentation of recognition to Judge Stephen E. Edgar for 24 years of dedicated service as judge for the City of Broken Arrow, and approve and authorize its execution. Trevor.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, Vice Mayor, Mr. City Manager. It's with great pleasure that we have an opportunity to recognize 24 years of service from our longstanding municipal judge. You think about that, what we were doing 24 years ago. Judge Edgar had been serving this community for that long, and so he's just been a stalwart servant and very judicious in his temperament, and has always had good relations with our community. So we're just sorry to see him go, but wish him the best in his future endeavors and his retirement. But we wanted to recognize his years of service, so we've prepared a letter that you have, Mayor, and then also a certificate of recognition.
Okay. So this certificate of recognition in honor of Judge Stephen E. Edgar, in recognition of your 24 years of service to the citizens of the City of Broken Arrow as municipal alternate judge and municipal presiding judge. Congratulations on your retirement, and thank you for your 24 years of dedication to the City of Broken Arrow. Is he just here?
Yes, he is.
Yeah. Do you want to come down?
He's right there, yeah.
Do you want to take a picture with us?
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
Judge. Want your wife to be in the picture too?
She had to serve too, basically. We'll come down here.
We'll come down here with you.
Yeah.
The whole council.
We'll go to you there. Thank you.
Mayor, if I can just say a couple, well, it'll be more than a couple. So when I started at the PD, which has been about 24 years ago, but Judge Edgar was already there, just think about how much we've grown. I believe that we had a part-time judge at that time, and so we didn't have court every single day. I didn't even know we had an alternate, honestly, for the longest time because Judge Edgar was always there. But he's always been so supportive of, everything that he could within his, being the judge and everything. And we're really going to miss you. And I loved being in the building right next to you for so many years. And I'm glad you get to be with your family. And you're moving to Arkansas, right? Or are you already there? Yes.
And then Trevor, you're right, I had a letter, so I'll just go ahead and, do you have that, or I've got it pulled up on the. Okay. Dear Judge Stephen Edgar, the purpose of this letter is to express the City of Broken Arrow's appreciation and gratitude for your commitment to excellence and for the administration of justice. During your time with the City of Broken Arrow, you have guided our municipal court through various trials and tribulations with integrity and fairness. This, coupled with your passion for finding the truth and the outstanding example you have set, have served our community both inside and outside of the courtroom. Thank you for your contributions to the City of Broken Arrow for 5 years as the alternate judge and 19 years as the presiding judge of the Broken Arrow Municipal Court. We greatly appreciate your work for the City of Broken Arrow. As mayor of the City of Broken Arrow, and on behalf of my fellow city councilors and city manager Michael Spurgeon, I wish you a big congratulations on your retirement, Judge Edgar. We wish you the very best in the future.
Judge Edgar is on our Civitans group. And last year he was a sergeant at arms, or one that fined us. And I never knew anybody in our Civitans that did such an excellent job of finding everyone, including me. I mean, he could find some little something wrong with nearly everyone. The Civitans really made money when he was in that position.
Well, who could argue against the judge? You just pay your fine and move on,
I
right?
know. And just like being the judge, there's no smile. I mean, this is it. You owe this right now. Thank you very much.
I've even gotten fine there, but that's because I had a rotary pen on, but.
Oh,
All right. I don't know that, we didn't have any action to take on that. Oh, we need to approve. I entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve?
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Roll call. All right. 7B, presentation of Metronet regarding installation of fiber optic telecommunication services in Broken Arrow. Rocky Hinkle.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, members of council. Rocky Hinkle, Community Development Director. With me tonight is General Affairs Manager Shanna Brockett with Metronet to talk about a new fiber optic option coming to Broken Arrow. Also with Shanna is Anthony Munoz, who will be able to answer any of the operational questions that you may have. So with that, I'll turn it over to Shanna.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Shana Brockett, and I am Government Affairs Manager for Metronet. I'm here to present on Metronet. Do I need to control this? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, so first we're going to start with a little bit of history about Metronet and who we are. Metronet was established in 2005 and is the nation's largest independently owned 100% fiber optic company headquartered in Evansville, Indiana, where I reside. Metronet is a cutting-edge fiber optic communication provider, including high-speed fiber internet and full-feature fiber phone with a heavy focus on customer service. Metronet currently serves 250-plus communities in 16 states. I mentioned earlier, I think that number has grown since this presentation has been written out. We are growing rapidly. Here's a few of our recognitions. For gaming, we have been voted top 10 overall ISP with Best Gaming Quality Index in the United States in 2021 by PCMag.com. We've also were awarded fastest major ISP in the United States in 2023. Ookla Speed Test, Metronet has been ranked the fastest internet speed provider ISP in Iowa, Indiana, and Kentucky as of late. Netflix, one of our biggest streaming services, we were recognized as best performer in its Internet Service Provider Speed Index. And with the Broadband Now, we were voted top 3 fastest internet providers nationwide. On the left-hand side, you're going to see our safety portion. Our safety director, Chuck Mueller, does sit on Ohio 811 board, as well as the Michigan 811 board. And we were also awarded Vectren Energy Safe Digging Partner Award. We take safety very, very seriously here at Metronet. Next slide is about our partnership with Broken Arrow. So first thing is we do partner with our city members here in Broken Arrow. And then next comes communication with the residents. There's constant communication with the city, constant communication with the residents. There are 3 part notifications that go out to our residents. Restoration, that's a big question. Restoration occurs within 24 to 48 hours, so we restore as we go. So as we're constructing, we are going back and restoring right behind us. And again, that should happen within 24 to 48 hours afterward, hopefully sooner. We release as we go. So we build in LCPs, which are portions of the city, and then as we finish each LCP, we release that for service. Communication. This is a big part of what we do here. So we like to inform the residents of what we're doing at all times. So 30 to 45 days prior to construction in a neighborhood, we're going to send out the letter that's top there in purple. It's a construction newsletter. It's got all of our information on it about what we are, what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, with our phone number and our website information. So to the right of that, you're going to see construction underway. So 7 to 10 days prior, there's going to be a postcard mailed out to residents as well. It's going to be construction on both sides, and it's going to be bright green as an attention getter. So 3 to 5 days prior, you're going to get yard signs placed in the yard. It's about every other yard. They look about the size of a pest control sign. And again, construction underway, Metronet, our website, and our customer service number. And then the fourth thing that we actually do is we do place a sign in the entrance of each neighborhood, just letting them know construction is underway in the neighborhood. That's a map that shows LCP examples. So this is not Broken Arrow, but this is what the map looks like and how we break it down by LCP, and we work in different LCPs at each time. Then kickoff meetings. Prior to construction starts, we have a kickoff meeting to talk about how construction is going to work. And then after we have the kickoff meeting and we start construction, we do have a monthly city meeting, our construction communication meeting with the city to review all of the tickets put in by the residents, the footage that we've done, as well as any utility strikes that may have happened during that period. Construction website. This is how residents would put in a ticket. They can also call our customer service number, but this is also a very easy option. So we have a website dedicated strictly to construction, which is metronet.com/construction. Right there on the top, you'll see on the top left, there's a little purple circle and it says ask a question. When you click on that, that's how you get to the ticket portion of our website. The ticket portion is very simple. It's name, phone number, address, email address, and then do you have a question? Do you have an issue? Do you have a concern? That's where you would submit a ticket, and then you'll receive an email back with the ticket number so you can track that ticket. And then our local team will respond to that ticket within 24 business hours. So our goal at Metronet is to respond to that ticket within 24 hours and close it out within 8 days of the ticket being open. Restoration, big question here again with Metronet. And some pictures up above. So again, we restore within 24 to 48 hours after construction begins. We restore as we go. There's a picture up above of the trench, and then underneath where we have restored. This is post-construction. At the top, you're going to see the pedestals that stick kind of out of the ground. Those are not us. The ones that are underneath that are flush with the ground, those are ours. So the ones at the top, the circles, those are ours, and the ones at the bottom that are flush with the ground, those are ours as well. We do go flush with the ground, so it's easier to mow around, to weed eat around. You are allowed to mulch over it, you're allowed to place a flower pot over it, just nothing permanent, but we like to make it very easy and less of an eyesore. You'll also see in the left-hand corner a pole. If we do go on poles, that's what we look like when we're on poles. And the last one I have here is community engagement. Very exciting. We have a community engagement team in place. We love to partner with the city. We love to be engaged in your city. We love to give back. So there's a look, there's some pictures there. We've done blood drives, food drives. We're getting ready to do a music festival. In the wintertime during Christmas, we do toy drives. So we like to be involved in the community and give back. It benefits us and it benefits you as well. And I would like to add, there is no cost to the city for us to build. Okay. And that's it. That's all I have.
Okay. Do you have any questions or discussions?
These things,
We asked lots of questions a couple
yeah, we
hours
got to
ago,
have,
so.
for your benefit, we got to have a meeting earlier where we got
Yes.
to ask a lot of questions, and we did. We want to be sure that any service we're bringing to the city is going to be a good partner for our citizens, and we feel they were very thorough. I think this is going to be another good option for us to have here in Broken Arrow.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have to approve anything?
Well, it just says as directed by council, so if there's no.
No.
Yeah,
On the item, Mayor?
okay. All right. Thank you all. Item 8 is citizens' opportunity to address the council. There is none. Item 9 is general council business. 9A is consideration, discussion, and possible approval of and authorization to execute Resolution 1584. Cindy Arnold.
I'll let you go ahead and introduce the item, and then I'll.
I'm sorry. This is a presentation of, it will be brief. We've had a public hearing in May, and we did a budget workshop in May, and we did the public hearing last meeting, and City Manager Michael Spurgeon will do a brief overview.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Thank you very much, Cindy. I cannot begin to thank you and your team for all the hard work. I do just have a handful of slides. As she mentioned, the council had a very detailed work session on May 14th, and then there was a public hearing that was held on June 3rd, and there were several questions asked by the public with regard to the budget. And I just want just a couple of slides to cover the proposed FY 2025 budget, which is up for your consideration this evening. So just for the public's knowledge, the City Council operates on a fiscal year cycle, which is from July 1st to June 30th of each year. There are 6 basic top priorities or tenets that we focus on in terms of providing the quality of life and the services. The first one, obviously, is public safety services and community well-being. Obviously, the safer your community is, it's going to affect, like the pebble in the pond that I've said, in terms of you're not safe, it's going to have so many negative effects on your community, and we're very fortunate to have an incredible public safety departments and emergency management and ready to respond to the citizens' needs. The second, which is really the fuel that actually drives the engine, it's your economic development, and we focus on growth and prosperity. We do that through our TED team. Actually, all the department directors and the council are a member of the economic development team, if you think about it, in terms of trying to promote our community. Also, we have the agreement that we're currently renegotiating with the EDC to help us focus on business retention, specifically in the area of manufacturing and industrial. So this is very, very important to us to continue to grow our community, to have the resources we need to have the quality of life that we have here. Third is innovative municipal operations. We come before you frequently asking for funding to improve the technology as well as the functionality of many things that we do. Council's always been supportive of looking at the most cost-effective ways to provide those services. Financial or fiscal sustainability and strategic public investments, that's just a part of the process. Making sure as a conservative community it lives off of a predominantly sales tax, being fiscally conservative is extremely important. And then transformational initiative to help maintain a thriving and healthy community. That's your parks and recreation. That's your quality of life. Your events that we have every year that actually give us that big small town feel, which is a part of it. And I think we do a great job of that. And then last but not least is transparency and communications. I mean, obviously, you have to tell the public, and we do it very willingly, is what's going on. And I believe in Broken Arrow is most people know what's happening in their community because of the transparency that the council takes, the administration takes as well. So there's 4 key budget principles or practices that we utilize. The first one is always focusing on long-term financial sustainability. It's hard to explain this to some folks, is that every decision we make is sometimes can be perpetual, and we have to look at what the impact's going to be on the community going forward, and we don't want to start something and then not be able to pay for it. That's not a good practice. Secondly is making sure that our estimated revenues and expenditures, we do it conservatively, because sales tax, as we've seen this year, is although we've had increases or growth in sales tax, it hasn't been like it has been the last few years, and so taking a conservative approach to those estimates ensures we have the funds available down the road. Next thing, we're mandatory, making sure all funds balance, making sure that we have the reserve policies in compliance, which we are, to make sure that if we have something extraordinary, unexpected, that we can manage those and weather those difficult times. And then once again, we build in the contingencies. All of our fund balances are in compliance with council's policies with regard to having funds available should there be something come up. So for this year, the municipal budget as proposed, we're looking at a proposed municipal budget of $472,198,240. That is a 33% increase over last year's budget of $354 million, almost $355 million. This is how those funds are broken down. I love to show the chart. I didn't show one of those last time. All of this is on, you'll be able to see this information on our website to be able to know exactly how we spend our dollars. But it is a breakdown of exactly where those dollars go. And the budget, it's got a much more detailed report of all the different revenues in, revenues out. And then I have one more slide that actually I took out that I should have left in, is that I want to give a breakdown, because looking at a 30% increase, I wanted to share with council that the operating budget for this year is $165,440,000. That's about a 6.5% increase over the previous operational budget, which is very small considering the raises that we've given and the cost of doing business today. Where the increase came in is the capital outlay. We're planning on spending, because we have projects somewhere in the life cycle of approximately $267 million. That's about a 63% increase over last year. That's roads, that's streets, that's sidewalks, that's utilities. I mean, we have a very robust capital improvement program, which is needed to maintain the service we have and to expand our community to be able to accommodate the growth it's experiencing. Majority, if not all of those improvements, except for STCI and utilities, were approved by the voters. And so the voters approved the funds through previous bond packages, and we're actually implementing the decisions that we asked them to make to support those initiatives, and we're following through with the expectations that we created. And our debt service this year is going to be almost $40 million, which is up about 10% when you look at what we have borrowed from the Oklahoma Water Resources Board, as well as the $20-some million that we issued last year. It's just up slightly, once again, to be able to pay for those improvements. So with that, I'd like to thank all the staff members. They did an amazing job this year, and Cindy's team. And it's my recommendation to you, Mayor, and the members of council, that you approve this year's proposed budget of $190,240.
I'll make that motion that we approve the budget.
Second? Oh, Johnny can second it? Go ahead.
Johnny,
We have a motion and a
Johnny go.
second. Roll call.
City Manager, I appreciate you. Wait. I looked at you right there. I appreciate you explaining about the operations and the increase in that, and that overall we don't have that huge of an increase, but it's because of things that the voters actually voted on. We're going to have lots of cones and lots of good things going on in the next year.
Get ready. There's lots of contracts coming, as you know, 209th, Houston, actually, this West Mile on 81st is shortly around the corner. Signed the plans today for the Innovation District. I mean, it's just everything that the voters have said they want to see. That, you know, the council is being responsive, and I appreciate your support and the time that you put into the budget.
Absolutely.
I think it's important this is put out because we hear a lot about our infrastructure and, with Broken Arrow being one of the fastest growing cities, we are taking steps to improve that infrastructure. And that's very important that as we grow, we have to make sure our infrastructure grows with our economic development so that we can support those things. So it's important.
Absolutely. So with that, the budget is approved. All right, item 9B is consideration and discussion of possible approval of and authorization to execute memorandums of understanding with Family and Children Services and Grand Mental Health to provide crisis prevention and mitigation services to the police and fire department.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Mr. Spurgeon, Council. Thank you for the opportunity to present this evening. I'm Mark Stewart, your Assistant Fire Chief, and joining me is Major Stephen Garrett with the Police Department. So we're here to talk to you about crisis prevention and mitigation this evening. And as we get started, I want to visit a little bit about the cycle of crisis. So there are a lot of precipitating factors that can send an individual in our community into a crisis. And you can see them up there: aging, mental health, physical health, homelessness, mobility, and at the center is substance abuse. As we understand, substance abuse often is at the core of a lot of these crises. So these precipitating factors send folks into a free fall, and our community is very robust and does a really good job of stepping in and standing in the gap and helping these folks get back on their feet. But unfortunately, some folks fall through those cracks, and when they do, it becomes an emergency. That's the business we're in. But unfortunately, we're woefully unprepared to handle some of these crises, and we only have two tools in our toolbox. We can take them to jail or take them to an emergency room. Unfortunately, those are very, very short-term solutions, and they end up being turned around and put right back into the same situations that they found themselves in the first place. And this is a vicious cycle. So we're here to present a couple of options that we think will be helpful to our police officers and firefighters in managing these situations. We're going to talk about prevention and mitigation. We'll talk about these stats.
And so in reference to the need that we have for some of these crises, just a few statistics that we have for you today. Our calls for mental health crisis, just in the last year, 590 calls. And approximately 300 of those actually wound up taking someone into protective custody. And if you don't know what that is, that's where we actually take people and put them into custody and take them to get some type of mental health services. Oftentimes we have people that will want to go and sometimes they won't. But when we take them into protective custody, we actually take them to a mental health facility and get them the services that they need. So we had 300 of those in the last year, calendar year. We had 92 overdoses and 8 suicides. And I'll let you talk a little bit about the frequent utilizers.
That last statistic is ours from the fire department, EMS. We have 37 individuals in the last 6 months that have resulted in 250 responses from our team. These are folks that are just in a bad situation, that their needs are not being met, and they're relying on us to meet their basic needs for daily activities.
So as we go in and tell you a little bit about this program, we also want to tell you about what this program is not, and that's very important. This is not an alternative to first responders going to the scene. When people call, they need a fire truck, they need an ambulance, they need a police officer, we're still going to be going. So that's not an alternative to that. It's also not a replacement for police and fire personnel responding to the scene. So if we have care coordinators from these other agencies there will also be first responders on scene at the same time. It's not a program to keep criminals from going to jail. Laws will still be enforced, so if people commit crimes, then we're going to handle that appropriately. And it's not a response by the care coordinators in lieu of police or fire. So again, when you have responses by care coordinators, there will be police and fire personnel on scene simultaneously.
So our proposal is to form partnerships with 2 local agencies, Family and Children Services and Grand Mental Health. Both of those agencies have representatives in the audience behind me here tonight. You'll have an opportunity to ask them questions if you'd like. The funding for this will come from the opioid settlement fund. As you are aware, there was a lawsuit. 80 municipalities in the state of Oklahoma sued Big Pharma, the distributors and the manufacturers of opioids, and a settlement was reached, and we're now receiving funds from that settlement, and we're proposing to use those funds to pay for this service. So next steps, we have 2 MOUs prepared for your approval, and the only other next step would be just embedding these professionals into our agencies so that they can get to work.
I am thrilled with this presentation and I mean, I just came from a mayor's conference, and so many of the cities are dealing with the same thing, right? We're all dealing with mental health issues, and I might have bragged on you guys just a little bit and told them that we have something that's coming out that I think that they all could duplicate once we get it in motion, and then to be able to use those funds and not have to, you know, use our general funds to be able to cover this is going to be great. And I served on a panel a couple of weeks ago. It was a police chief panel, because I'm going to be a police chief one day. I'm just kidding. A short one, yeah. But that was one of the needs as well, is that they're so shorthanded. You know, it was Tulsa that was talking about their mental health issues and how they're so shorthanded with the employees to deal with it. And I said, again, you need to reach out to our departments and see what we're about to launch, because I think it could help. And did you guys, you know, participate in that lawsuit? Here's something you can do with those funds. So I'm kind of excited about this.
Well, I feel too, I mean, it's going to be great for our police and fire personnel, but I think most importantly, it's going to, yes, it's going to be important for our citizens to be able to handle this. And I also was in Sacramento this past week, and they have, their police department did the same thing, similar, not exactly. You all are, I like yours a lot better actually, but it was successful is the point.
Yeah.
So they have a full-time counselor riding on each shift, and it's working. And so they were there just to kind of present it. And I'm as well as proud too that you all are on top of this, because it's something that our citizens really, really need. I mean, it's great to save your time too, but it's going to be great for our citizens to be able to get the help they need.
And to relieve our officers and our firewomen that go on calls that should not be, that's not the calls you should be going on, because that's not what you signed up for, right?
And
Like, that's not what
embedding
you should
these
be doing.
care coordinators in with both of our agencies will really help, because they can really connect our citizens with those services that are needed, whether it be, you know, home placement, job placement, substance abuse programs, and that's really where they're going to be able to help our agencies do that.
And if I recall, a lot of this will be like zoned in out on the 911 call, right? Like they'll be able to, they'll be trained to know who needs to go where, right?
Like dispatch will
Like
be able
dispatch,
to.
right? When a call comes in.
There won't be care coordinators in with dispatch, but dispatch will be able to say, hey, this is a crisis call, and we're going to send the officer that has the care coordinator riding with, and same thing on your side of the house.
Will somebody on shift be able to, if they encounter, like maybe dispatch care coordinator over at this location? So I've gotten to do a lot of ride-alongs with both police and fire, and it's something that definitely most of the, I mean, I don't want to say most, but a lot of the calls end up being some sort of mental health situation. And a lot of people that we go more than once to the same house, even in the same day. But it also just at the doors, talking to a lot of citizens in the past few months, this is an issue that is very top of mind for a lot of our citizens. So I've talked a little bit since we had you all presented to us. I've talked a little bit about it and what Broken Arrow is specifically doing, and it was good to see people be very supportive and excited that okay, there's something coming there, and that we're at least trying to do something, because this isn't, some of these issues, I mean, that's not what you all were specifically trained for, although you probably have learned more about, you know, de-escalating mental health situations than you ever thought you would. But I'm excited about it, and I think it's something that is going to improve the quality of life for our citizens, you know, all over our city. And I think and also just those people that really do need help. And because that's the whole point, is we want people to get help for whatever their needs are. So thanks.
Thank you.
You know, I would speak to, quickly to the funding source. You know, our country's gone through the last several years through a crisis caused by a group of wherever, you know what I mean. And so them being punished in a way that I think is fair, that this money's being utilized to try to help take care of those who have come to that and won't get to that point. So I appreciate you taking advantage of that funding source to guide that into this.
We are very aware that as first responders, you are limited. You have limited resources, you have limited manpower, and doing these community partnerships is huge. Finding other professionals that can help focus on these things is going to be a game changer for what you do and the services provided to our citizens. So I want to say thank you all for thinking outside the box and trying to find ways to better serve our community.
And I don't have questions specifically for Family and Children's or Grand Mental Health, but could you introduce the people that are here that made it all the way here to see your presentation?
Okay. Chris Stout, Law Enforcement Engagement Liaison Coordinator with Grant. Nick Allgood, Chief Clinical Officer at Crisis Services at Grant. I'm Jim Waring, the Law Enforcement Engagement Director for Grant.
I'm Krista Lewis, Chief Program Officer, Medical and Crisis Services for Family.
My name is Amanda Bradley. I'm the Vice President of COAS, Community Outreach, Psychiatric Emergency Services for Family and Children's Services.
Kind of comes full circle. Amanda used to work for the Broken Arrow Police Department. Really right down the hall. I used to work with her a lot. So I'm really glad to see you here and that you're part of this for sure.
And I can tell you firsthand, these resources do work. As a first responder, I've called on some of these very same resources, and they do work.
Thank you for spending your time with us tonight, and we're so excited to get started. Thank you all for your hard work because it was very organized, very detailed. You have a plan. I mean, I know things may come up, but we're ready to get after it. Yeah. I guess you just need us to approve it, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call. Motion
Get busy.
Mayor,
Here
just
starts
real
Mike.
quick, I mentioned our top 6 priorities. One of them was transformational initiatives that help maintain a thriving and healthy community.
Yeah.
There you go.
I love that.
For sure.
Great job, team.
Yeah, good job.
All right, item 9C, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of BAZ 1472 for rezoning Oak Crossing 39.36 acres from R2 single family to RS4. Amanda.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor, Council, Vice Mayor, Mr. Spurgeon. BAZ 1472-2024 is a request to rezone approximately 40 acres from RS2 single family residential to RS4, which is also single family residential, just with a smaller lot size. This is for a proposed development called Oak Crossing. The property is generally located east of 23rd Street and south of Houston Street, and the property is currently unplatted and undeveloped. The rezoning request associated with the potential Oak Crossing development proposes to create a single-family development of detached homes on individual lots. When the associated plat for this development is submitted, staff will ensure that all dimensional standards for single-family detached in RS4 will be met. Additionally, access to 23rd Street and all adjacent stub streets will be required. All potential streets must be constructed to the City of Broken Arrow standards. According to the FEMA maps, none of this property is located in the 100-year floodplain, and water and sanitary service are available from the City of Broken Arrow. Planning Commission did recommend approval of this rezoning on May 23rd with a 5-0 vote. Staff is recommending approval of this rezoning subject to the property being platted. I believe the applicant is here, and I can answer any questions you may have.
Who's the builder? Do we know?
I do not know who the builder is. I believe the applicant can probably speak to that.
Okay, be good.
I do have this is a very conceptual plat that was submitted for a pre-development meeting tomorrow. It's up on the screen for you. There were some requests at Planning Commission to kind of see what the layout would look like. This is conceptual in nature. This hasn't been officially submitted. So it will go through the very first staff review tomorrow at a pre-development meeting, but this is to give you guys an idea of what they're looking at.
Is that in here, or?
No,
you
it
can
is
only
not
see
in your
there?
packet.
Okay.
We didn't have it at the time that we
Okay.
made the agenda.
And how many
packet.
houses is this supposed to be?
It's approximately 107 if you count everything in the top part, and then there's about 4 just down in that little triangle below the, just south of the railroad tracks.
107, 107? Okay.
You know, we've probably all got emails and communications from citizens with concerns, and just want to say that we're taking those things in consideration. We're listening to those concerns.
When is county line supposed to be finished or widened or?
Rocky, can you speak to the, you know, it'll be, I know the intersection's under construction right now. I don't know what the anticipated.
Because I know
finish
that
date is
area,
for
like
that.
91st and County Line gets backed up like massively already, so. And well, we can have the applicant, sorry, can't speak, speak on behalf of it, and then we do have one resident that wants to speak.
Good evening. I'm Mike Thetford with Wallace Design Collective, representing Roush Coleman. As Amanda said, we are working with about 40 acres. The density is RS4 as opposed to RS2 for a portion of it that's already zoned that. We have some areas that are pretty big obstructions for the development, which affect the density and the numbers, the overall numbers of homes that would be able to be built on the property. Obviously, the railroad tracks, that takes a big swath. There's some drainage areas. And at Planning Commission, we discussed the density and those obstructions, and the net would be similar to what an RS3 density would be, just because of the, you know, with the number of houses that we would net, or lots that we would net. There's going to be a lot of stormwater detention on the site, and the southern portion, which is not on the screen right now, but you can see that big swath of railroad, and we have some existing easements to avoid on the southern portion there. There were a few infrastructure issues that were discussed during Planning Commission, but representing the owner or the developer, that would obviously have to be addressed before they were even, you know, we'd have to go through engineering and meet all the standards and the requirements.
So are you saying that you're planning on less than 107 houses?
No, as opposed to if we were to go for an RS3, you know, I think that's about 5 acres that takes out, the railroad going through there. So it's a similar net number to a lower density zoning. If you understand where I'm coming, the net number would be similar to that.
So you're saying the number of houses per acre would be similar?
Yes.
To,
yeah.
Because of the
That's
railroad?
an easier way to put it, yes.
Okay.
And as far as the things you were talking about, as far as the improvements, utilities, et cetera, is that something that the developers plan on taking care of or plan on asking the city for?
The existing facilities and infrastructure, I don't know exactly. We have a concept that shows 2 connections to the sanitary sewer, and it's my understanding that there's some existing issues with capacity or I mean, I don't know. I can't speak to the specifics of what's going on out there right now, but the developer couldn't connect to one of those points if the capacity is a problem. And there's flow issues right now that I understand that the city is currently working out to the east.
So you can put houses that close to the railroad? I mean, like, that just looks really close.
Well, that's a right of way, so, you know, I think that's 100
Yeah, it's 100-foot right-of-way there. So the line in the middle of the right-of-way is the actual railroad, so.
Right.
Are you planning on connecting to the neighborhood behind it?
I don't know.
Or is everything going to
To
go
the
out
east,
to?
yeah, we have two connection points to the, one to the east on Louisville and one to the south on 27th. The Louisville one is to the north.
Yeah, so that South 20, so are they, okay, so the South 27th one, is that going to go into the neighborhood?
Oak Creeks.
Yes,
Exits
existing.
out of the,
And Louisville, both of them.
Yes, both existing, and that, you know, those stub outs were required back then during the construction of those subdivisions and the approval of the plat. So connectivity is in the zoning code as a requirement, and you know, if we, for instance, if we tried to not connect, I think that would be a problem for.
So this would connect Louisville from the subdivision that's already there, that would connect Louisville to county line
Yes.
for people that wanted to go through. This is different because this one is, the other neighborhood would be more likely to come through this neighborhood versus the other way around, which is normally the other way around. The new neighborhood wanting to go through the.
Yeah, because there would be one access point off of a county line there.
Yeah.
Or a second one to the south, if we're able to squeeze those 4 lots in there to the south of the railroad tracks.
So this is not a PUD, is that correct?
No.
Correct.
So how about the green area or that type of area? Looks like there's a lot of houses, as many as you can put on there. But walking trail or anything like that included in this?
We currently, it's concept level, you know, what we're looking at right now. Just by default, in the way the topography is, there are 2 reserve areas for detention, which could also be used as green space, because obviously that would be dry pond. Connectivity as far as pedestrians, we haven't reached that point yet. But obviously we'll have to meet the city requirements for sidewalks and everything else, so.
It just seems like a big jump from R2 to RS4.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean, to get so many houses in there, and we're looking at it from the perspective of the future, making sure that families have their things to go to, walking trails, green area. That's why I like a PUD, and that's why I asked, because I hadn't seen this map until tonight, the plat on it. It just seems like it's a trade-off from R2. There's a big difference between R2 and RS4.
Right.
Who had originally, was it zoned R2 like many, many, many years ago? I didn't look, I didn't see that.
I would say probably so.
Does anyone know, like when it became R2 from agriculture?
Somebody requested it to be R2, right?
Yeah, I can't speak to the date that was done. I don't have that in front of me, but it was before this current zoning ordinance was put in place. There hasn't been a map change on it in many years, so it's been at least probably 10 to 15 years.
Okay. All right, let's hear from the resident. And then if they have any questions, maybe you can answer those
Sure.
questions. Sean Parrish?
Ooh, okay. Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak with you. My name is Sean Parrish. I'm a resident of what is called Oak Creek South and a representative from my neighborhood. They've asked me to speak to you. Roush Coleman is seeking to rezone this plot of land. Originally in the zoning meeting, he referenced approximately 150 houses in that meeting. That's approximately 300 vehicles added to this area. We already have a problem with traffic coming off of Highway 51 trying to avoid the construction. We have people cutting through neighborhoods all the time and they don't obey the traffic laws in there. Our neighborhood infrastructure is past its capacity. Anytime we have a major rain event, or even rain event in general, we have to call the city to have you come and sanitize my backyard. Because I have raw sewage flowing out of a manhole. If I wanted a dog, I can't have a dog in my own backyard right now because of the raw sewage. Thank God my children are old enough that they don't want to go and play in the backyard anymore. My youngest is 14. Roush Coleman actually has a long track record of not doing things the right way. The newest addition in our neighborhood, they installed the sewer backwards. That is when these problems started. There's a neighborhood in Wagner County that's part of Coweta right now that has been fighting Roush Coleman over a retention pond because their subcontractor put in the wrong piping for drainage. And now there's even one whole residence in that neighborhood that no one can live in because it's constantly getting flooded. And they're left with a $50,000 bill because the city won't take care of it, the county won't take care of it, and Roush Coleman won't take care of it. You have numerous lawsuits. It's easy to just do a Google search on Roush Coleman, read their reviews as a home builder. They're not a great company. In 2022, Roush Coleman was refused rezoning in Wagner County as a project that would add 600 houses to a neighborhood because area farmers and ranchers complained of water runoff and flooding their pastures. In 2023, the Inola community banded together and fought off Roush Coleman from putting a neighborhood in that area. We're asking the council not to allow this rezoning as our neighborhood because Louisville is going to be a racetrack.
And so you're saying your neighborhood is that
Yes, I live at 27th and Knoxville.
Okay.
And you have a city park right there on Louisville, right after that bend where it buds up there. Right where A Street would bud up to Louisville. You have a city park right there. And if you got a straightaway from County Line all the way to Highway 51, it's a city park with kids playing. Even in the zoning meeting, the zoning committee asked about a roundabout put in that area to at least slow it down. There's not even a drawing of one there.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
I do like what you mentioned, Johnny, about a PUD.
The lack of it.
Yeah, the lack of it.
I think this was the item that there were 4 residents that spoke against it. And this gentleman may have been one of the 4, but can you tell us what the other 3, if this gentleman was already included in that, what their concerns were?
Yeah, there are very similar concerns, utility capacity, traffic, people speeding through the neighborhood, connections to 23rd Street or County Line. We didn't have this exhibit at the time, so they weren't even sure that the road would connect to County Line, so that was one of the questions, hence the reason I asked if we could show this, even though it's not an official submittal yet. I will say, just at a glance from staff's perspective, Street A will have to have some curvature or something to it, because that is too long and too straight. So that's one of the things that we'll be discussing with the applicant. So this is not a final layout by any means. This is just to show you conceptually what's going on, where the accesses would be and where the connection points would be to the existing neighborhoods.
Can we have someone check out to see why he has sewage coming up in his backyard? Okay.
We're already working on it.
Okay.
Yep. We thought you might be. Okay, does the applicant want to add anything?
Thanks, Amanda.
I would like to clarify that we were close to having this concept done at the time of the Planning Commission, and we're during that time we were at 146 lots, and the numbers that I talked about as far as the density, it would be similar as far as the net number of houses per acre, as I believe it was close to R2, but RS3, R2, similar. As far as the infrastructure goes, if we were not, I mean, I think this helps the issue with the sanitary sewer because it gets it out on the table to be addressed. And as far as the sewer being installed incorrectly, I can't speak to that. But yeah, as with all subdivisions, they have to meet all the requirements for the city of Broken Arrow and go through the review. Meet all the proper slopes. You know, they're pretty stringent requirements that the city of Broken Arrow has that is handled through the review process. I will offer up too that, you know, the connection on Louisville, that connection, number one, is required per the city zoning code. As far as the straight line to County Line Road, we were at concept level and we can still work through some traffic calming measures, whether it's a speed hump or some islands. We've done that in similar fashion on other subdivisions in Broken Arrow, which would effectively slow the traffic down. But inevitably, you're going to have some traffic coming from the east neighborhood to get to County Line because that's going to save a lot of time for them. So it would be in the developer's best interest to calm that traffic for the new houses. So, and I would offer up anything else for Roush Coleman. Any questions that you all have?
I have a few concerns. I mean, one of them being the proximity of the railroad, but also it's a big, because we're not going from agriculture. I mean, we're going from something that's already zoned and, you know, taking the leap to RS4. And I kind of want to know what would be allowed, like if it was R2, how many houses would be allowed versus what are being allowed here? Do we know?
On those many acres.
Yeah, I mean, I know you probably can't like tell me just off the top of your
I
head.
think Amanda can.
So, oh, you can? Okay.
And 40 acres if...
Are you saying 40 acres beyond, not including the
railroad.
the corner?
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're netting like 30 developable acres. Whereas if it was just a parcel without a railroad going through it, that would maximize the ability to put more houses.
RS2, I mean, it's because of the lot sizes. We require a certain lot size, so it would, if we're talking 35 developable acres.
And is there, how much of a buffer is it to this neighborhood that we're seeing on the screen? Are they going to be right up, like sharing the same fence?
Mm-hmm. That's the way they usually
That's what I thought.
are.
Yes, the depth of those lots, I didn't measure those, but those lots along 28th, they're pretty deep.
Mm-hmm.
But there is some drainage that, you know, will need to be addressed, but it looks like it's pre-existing at this time.
Where would your detention be?
Right now, we've got one in the middle of the east line. You can see a dark patch there. So there's one reserved there. You can see the
Reserve
diagonal.
A on the right and Reserve B on the lower left.
Yeah, and then on the curve along county line there.
I feel like I have too many questions right now.
There's
To make
so
a-
many unknowns.
To make an
and-
educated
And
vote.
County Line is just a mess, and it's not getting any better anytime soon, so.
There is a third one too that's, I didn't count that one because it's already there. It's a low area to the south along the railroad.
Okay.
If I can, Mayor, members of council, I mean, I really have a concern about County Line Road. I mean, looking at and obviously council has the final say whatever projects go to the voters in April 2026. But that road, that mile of road, I can tell you right now, is not going to be on my recommendations to you because of all the other needs we have. That's my concern. That road is a real challenge, and additional development is only going to create an issue. Respectfully, very concerned about that.
Is that, so that's our road, that portion of county line? Okay.
I still say that we don't, in looking at that, especially the train track going through there, is that a lot of times we don't do a PUD with a residential property. We have just lately and done that. Usually that'll go along with we go through apartments. Right, but the thing about the PUD, a lot of people don't like it. I like it because that way the city has control over what happens there for the life of the subdivision. So if we say there's got to be trees there, there's got to be a park there, there's got to be a walking trail there, then it has to be there. You know what I mean, legally. By just approving the zoning, and no matter who is developing it, you have to be dependent upon them putting in what they, you know what I mean, what they put in.
Yeah.
So I still think that this myself, I look at it strongly better, in a better light if it did have a PUD and I knew more exactly what was going in. Did you get those numbers? She's got them.
So an RS2 development with about 35 developable acres would, the maximum number of lots would be 156.
Okay.
Of course, that's not counting for right-of-way and all those things.
Okay.
156, and they're showing 107.
There's no, I mean, how does
That-
that, how do we even figure that?
That's not, like I said, that's not accounting for your detention area,
Okay.
stuff that's taken out.
In street right away.
Street
Oh, okay.
right-of-ways, that kind of stuff.
So what's
So
our,
it's
what
it's a
is,
basic calculation.
what's the allowable for R4?
So R4 would be, sorry. Would be 193. 35 acres.
Do you guys have any other questions or?
If I could add
Oh,
one last
sure.
thing. So per the numbers, that's in a roundabout way to simplify things. What I was trying to say is that concept is 146 lots. R2, was that R2 the first number?
R2, 156.
156.
Yeah, but that,
That
she
doesn't
just
take
said
into
that
account
that didn't
roads
include
and retention and
detention
everything
and
else.
everything.
Yeah.
That's a maximum.
But this is far below the R4,
Yeah.
196. So that's just the point I wanted to make, is that the density, we're limited to some obstructions on the site as it is. And if anybody were to come and try to develop it, they'd still have to deal with it. So. Any other questions?
No. Well, I don't. Anyone else? Mm-mm. Do you have a motion?
I'll make a motion to deny BAZ 001472-2024.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Yea is deny, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Vote affirmatively.
Okay. All right. Item 9D is going to be tabled.
Let's get confusing.
Is that right? You can, okay. Consideration, discussion, and possible action regarding BAZ 1334. Rocky.
Good evening again, Mayor. Staff is recommending that we remove this item from the agenda until North Star is able to bring a proposal to us for recommendation. Depending on what that proposal is, it may need to be revisited by the Planning Commission at that time. And at that point, if it does need to go to the Planning Commission, we would bring forth to you the recommendation at that time. So staff is recommending that we remove this item from the agenda until we get further direction from North Star.
So move.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Roll call.
They were sure in a hurry to do this, weren't they, a little while ago?
Yeah.
And they've
I'm
requested
not.
a table like 3
Man,
times.
I've been ready, every 2 weeks I've been ready.
For about a month now.
Hey, we're still talking, so
We're still
let's
talking.
just keep the conversation going.
Keep the conversation.
Yeah.
All right. 9E, consideration, discussion, and possible appointment by the mayor of a presiding judge for the municipal court for the city of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, effective 7/1/24 for a 2-year term, and approval of and authorization to execute a professional service contract. Trev?
Thank you, Mayor. With the retirement of Judge Edgar, we're in a need to appoint a acting presiding judge and then also an alternate. And so we've gone through that process. We've had a 9-member judicial nominating committee that's been doing significant work. We appreciate all the members' commitment. They have come forward with recommendations that were signed by their chairman, Stephen Gray, in a letter dated June 4th to the mayor. And if I may, Mayor, it basically says, "Greetings, Mayor Wimpy. Over the past few weeks, the Judicial Nominating Committee has reviewed and interviewed applicants for both the Broken Arrow municipal presiding and alternate judge positions. The committee's recommendations are as follows," and they make 3 recommendations pursuant to our ordinance for the presiding judge, and this is going to be subject just to the mayor's appointment. The presiding judge nominees were Dennis Sagely, Roger Long, and Grant Lloyd. They also made the same nominations for the alternate judges, and that'll be the next item. And so that will also be up to the mayor to decide the appointment. There is an accompanying item on this that is, we are requesting action from the entire council to award the contracts tonight so that we can go ahead and go forward and hire whoever the mayor does nominate. Just for clarification, we do have 6 dockets a month covered by the alternate judge. All the other dockets are covered by our presiding judge. And so usually we have 3 dockets, a week. We have a juvenile, we have a review docket, we have a traffic docket, we also have a non-jury docket. So there is significant work that goes into running the courts. The presiding judge under the contract is paid $4,099.72 per month plus FICA taxes, and the alternate judge is paid $200.97 per docket. And so with that, Mayor, we just would ask that you appoint one of the 3 of the nominating 3 of the names that were nominated by the committee for the presiding judge. You do have the option alternatively to reject those names if none of them meet your your standards, and then the committee would then be required to come forward with additional names. So just stand at your direction.
Okay. Well, I would be honored.
Can you tell us who the people that were on the committee were?
Oh, gosh.
Sorry, I don't have
Do you
that
have
list
that?
in front of
Oh,
me.
okay.
We did appoint those.
No, I just thought for
Yeah.
for the public record, because I don't see that actually written in there. I was just curious if you knew that. It's okay. We'll post it.
Yeah.
We'll post the
Got it.
committee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'd be honored to have Judge Sagely as our presiding judge. So that's my motion.
Yeah, that doesn't require a motion, but I'd entertain a motion to award the contract and execute that. It's a 2-year contract subject to funding. So
Just for point of clarification, I think I heard you say interim and then I hear contract. So is interim mean the 2-year, or is 2-year just the term?
that's the term of the contract for the presiding judge. And then that contract would then be renewed after that 2-year
That's what I thought. I thought I heard you say interim as well, so I didn't know if there was something.
If I did, I misspoke. I apologize.
No problem.
Okay. So I make a motion to approve the contract.
Second? Is that what this is? Item E, or I'm confused?
Is that item E?
Yes.
Curtis?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And then the next item is 9F, consideration and discussion for the alternate judge.
Yes, Mayor, and it's just the exact same
The same
process,
people?
but for the alternate.
Okay. And I will go with, I'll make a motion to approve the contract for Roger Long to be our alternate judge.
And I'll second.
Can we
Which
have
question?
our candidates stand if they're here?
Oh, yes.
Can we introduce them?
Judge Sagely.
Judge Sagely.
24 years.
You got big shoes.
I've been 19, so.
That's what I understand, because he's been the
That's true,
alternate for,
that's true,
he's
that's
definitely
true.
served his time. Yes, he definitely has.
Yes. Okay. So I
Is
think
our
we
alternate
voted.
here?
The alternate is not here.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Counselor Ford,
Yes.
if you could.
Oh, I was still just excited about getting him in there. There we go.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Congratulations, presiding judge. So
I
yes.
didn't realize you'd been the alternate for 19 years. That's amazing.
That's
Thank you.
commitment,
Thank
honestly.
you.
Only 24 more years to go. You'll be fine. All right. There are no preview ordinances. Item 11 is, our ordinances. 11A, consideration, discussion, and possible adoption of ordinance number 3832. Trevor.
Thank you, Mayor. As you may recall, 2 weeks ago, we had a discussion about updating our fireworks ordinance. Staff was directed to go forward with the red line strikeout changes. The main change, as we previously discussed, was eliminating the permit requirements and then waiving the fee. So unless there are any other changes or additions, it's ready for adoption. And then we do request that you adopt the emergency clause if you so desire. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the adoption of ordinance number 3832, amending the fire prevention ordinance.
I'll second.
A motion and a second.
I still haven't changed my mind. I really think it needs to be a permit. I'm not concerned with the fee on it, so I'm still not in favor of it. Somebody I felt like needs to be responsible when they're setting off the fireworks, so I haven't changed my mind on that. So my nay is earmarked with, because of the not having a permit.
Okay, understand. Okay. All right.
I'll make a motion for the emergency clause.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call. Bless you. Item 11C, consideration, discussion, and possible adoption of ordinance number 3827 corrected. Rocky?
Good evening again, Mayor and Madam Vice Mayor. Before you tonight is a recommendation to adopt ordinance number 3827 corrected, which is an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance of the City of Broken Arrow. Rezoning case BAZ-1643 was a zoning change from agricultural to commercial general. Was approved by the City Council on July 6, 2004. The City Council approved BAZ-1643 subject to the property being platted. This is just a zoning map cleanup. Staff would also recommend that you adopt the emergency clause that follows this item.
I'll make a
question?
motion to adopt ordinance number 3827 corrected.
Second.
We have a
Sorry,
motion and a
Connie.
second. Roll call.
You got me the first time, I got him that time.
I'll make a motion for emergency clause
I'll second that.
when it gets here.
All right. Remarks by governing body members?
You know, I have I like to see people come into Broken Arrow, visiting people coming into Broken Arrow. Makes it look nice, like to visit with them. Myrna and I walk a lot at the girls softball complex, you know, and walk around. It has a nice trail, really enjoy it. And we visit with several people there, and they really enjoy coming to Broken Arrow. One couple said that this is their favorite place to go in all the tournaments, is the City of Broken Arrow. The people are so friendly, they're easy to stay places. Food is great, the facility is great, the people there is nice. So they were very complimentary. Said everybody prefers Broken Arrow to anywhere in the United States going for a softball tournament. So I thought I'd pass that along.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, we had a baseball tournament this weekend that was pretty darn packed out there. So yeah. I got to visit with, we have an MMA team of 13 and up. They're 13-year-olds and up. There's like 6 of them that are going to England in July to compete for Team USA. So
Oh, that's
kinda
cool.
For
Broken
MMA?
Arrow. Yeah,
Wow.
I know. So that was pretty neat to meet them.
So I have a couple things. One of them, three things. Three things. Do you want to talk about the block party?
You get
Justin?
this time.
I'll let you talk about my square.
There would be no fireworks without my square. So yes, coming up here in the week, what is it, the 26th, 7th, and 8th?
7th, 8th, 27th, 8th, and 9th. Do you want me to do it?
27th, 8th, and 9th. We will be having the fireworks show down in New Orleans Square. And it's not just going to be one day this year. It will be 3 days. It promises to be
fireworks.
I think
who's
Christine
talking about this? We don't talk about Bruno. So it will be a lot of fun. There'll be 3 days. There'll be 2 days of fireworks, both on Friday and Saturday. There's going to be a phenomenal lineup for music. You can go on the New Orleans Square Facebook page and check out that lineup. Some well-known musicians, some local musicians. There will be food trucks. A great time to bring the family out, the kids, everybody come get together, come and fellowship and hang out. Have a good time. Enjoy some fireworks. This is another one of those things that Mr. Spurgeon time.
Yeah, my side of the square that's where all the music's
Yeah, it
gonna be,
is.
so it's fine.
Actually, we're celebrating my 44th wedding anniversary, June 28th. That's why the fireworks are happening.
There you go.
That's cool.
So a couple of things that I wanted to share. First, Lisa and I both serve on the Senior Center Board, Broken Arrow Seniors, and we are having our Founders Day Luau. It's the first of its kind in Broken Arrow, and it's a fundraiser for the Senior Center, and it is Saturday, July 13th. And I've got information here if anybody wants information, but you can go to the Facebook page, and there's little posters up all over Main Street. But it is a fundraiser, and you can get tickets. It's going to be at the Broken Arrow Central Pool, which is a new thing, and so we're very excited about that. But it is a traditional luau. We're going to have all the stuff. I think we're having fire dancers, and we have roasted pig, and it's going to be just a lot of fun. And it starts at, this doesn't say when it starts, at 7 p.m.
Do you have
on
to
the
be a
13th.
Senior?
So,
No, anybody can come.
no, you do not have to be a senior. Thank you for bringing that
Bring your
up.
money.
Although that is the week of my birthday, and I become a senior that week. So I turned 55 that week. So it's a birthday party for my
And
crazy.
you don't have to attend to donate to the senior center. You can still give us money if you can't come.
That's right. That's right. And then there is an election tomorrow, so I encourage everyone to get out and vote and show, do your duty as a citizen of America, because it's an important day.
Yep.
Absolutely. And I'd also like to give a shout out to our Broken Arrow Police Department, our motors units. They had a competition in Branson. We had 4 of our motors up there this year, and I saw some of the videos from some of the courses they did. It's very challenging, very tiring, but they did well. They brought home a 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place in the metric class. So that's an accomplishment that should be recognized.
Yeah. Good job. Good job.
Good job, guys.
Good job.
All right, City Manager?
I do have just a couple of things, Mayor, members of council, good evening. With regard to New Orleans Square, I want to take this opportunity to thank the members of the community development team, specifically our special events. I know Rocky, Grant, and Kendra especially worked very hard. I put a lot on them because Jennifer Rush and I met with the private partner in this, and obviously we want to make this bigger and better within reason every single year. And so I shared with them, what the vision was of the council, and they made it happen. And so it is going to be an amazing event for our community, but I want to publicly recognize all of the staff members, specifically the community development team, for all of their hard work, because there was a lot of planning and logistics that go into making sure that it's a quality event. And one of the things I'm excited about is the fact there's going to be a lot of municipal equipment and departments that are going to be on there for folks to actually interact with. So we're kind of combining with not only this a celebration of our greatest country in the world, but also to have some time to interact with the city officials as well as our department. So it's going to be a very, very exciting time. So thanks, Rocky. Please pass that along. Secondly is, I was so focused on the budget at the last meeting, I apologize, I didn't get a chance to introduce interim director of the chamber, the EDC, and that's Jim Fram. He's in the audience tonight, so Jim, wave your hand. You all had a chance to meet Jim. He also has Lori Lewis, the vice president of membership. So we've had several meetings with Jim, and he was in our discussions today with the EDC regarding the renewal of our contract. And so had a chance to visit with him on a number of things, and exciting that he's in the community, and just looking forward to working with him and continuing our great relationship in order to make Broken Arrow the place to be. Yep. So. Couple other things is, as a result of council's action regarding fireworks, I'm going to be, and one other item, be doing 2 videos that are going to be coming out. One is about fireworks. So I'll actually be talking to the citizens about the decision council made. And then secondly is that I'm going to be doing a video about solicitation and trespassing. That's going to be coming out because obviously the folks that get those permits, whether they have them or not, they know the laws and they know what residents can and cannot do. And so we've had a lot of folks reach out to my office, the council members. So I want to provide them some guidance and really ask for their help, because police officers can't take enforcement action if they don't see it. So I believe that the residents, we need to share with them what their options are. And I think there are some residents that are so really disgusted with how they've been treated that they might be willing to sign a complaint if in fact someone violates them telling to leave their property or the signage. So I'm just want to let you know I'm going to be putting this out and trying to provide them some guidance, because it's the time of year where we see a proliferation of the peddlers and solicitors, and I think this guidance will help our community. Yeah. And then finally, Aaron got up and gave a great presentation about the micro survey. So we got about 4,000 responses for the whole survey. Obviously, this tells you why roads are so important. In less than about 10 days, approximately, we have 2,050 responses about streets and roads, and people actually picking which ones they'd like to see in terms on the package. And so I want to commend Aaron for that effort, and we're continuing. It's going to be up for, I think, another week and a half or so approximately, and we'll get the council the results, show them the streets they picked, and then we'll go to another micro survey of another area of the survey to continue to gather that data information so we can build a good package. And that's all I have.
Mayor, I do have something. I'm sorry, I forgot. So this morning we did have a groundbreaking for Creoaks Health Service. And, I just kind of started processing when my husband Ross started running for the House of Representatives 7 years ago. That was one of the things he ran on. And it's like, just like you said, it's like everyone felt like that was an issue, but like nothing was being done. So now it seems like all of a sudden, like people are finally getting it, putting resources to it. But the Creoaks, it's a mental health, 24-hour emergency mental health. The groundbreaking was today, so it won't be finished until for about a year. That's when they think it'll take, about a year. But it's for juveniles, it's for families, it's for veterans. Like it was a great groundbreaking, but also not only is that going to help our citizens, it's also going to bring 130 jobs to our city. So it's just kind of a win all the way around. So welcome, yep. Creoaks to Broken Arrow. We're glad you're here.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have a executive session.
I'll make a motion to take a brief recess to go into Bama and Beta.
Second.
The motion and a second. Roll call.
Green.
Here.
Ford.
Here.
Oh, yeah, we're taking a vote.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we said roll call.
Green. Ford.
Yes.
Parks.
Yes.
Gillespie.
Yes.
Wimpy.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, I'll call the Broken Arrow Municipal Authority meeting to order. Roll call.
Yes.
You can say here now.
Green.
Here now.
Ford.
Here.
Parks.
What do you want me to say?
Here.
Gillespie.
Here now.
Here, still here.
Wimpy.
Here. Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
I will say that it's one of the longest consent agendas on Bama that I've seen in a really long time.
Yeah.
That's a lot going on. Made a motion in a second. Roll call. There are no public hearings, appeals, presentation, recognitions, or awards. Item 6 is general authority business. 6A, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of award of the lowest responsible bid to Cherokee Pride Construction for the North Side Basin Sanitary Sewer and Water Line Rehabilitation. Charlie Bright.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, trustees, and General Manager. My name is Charlie Bright. I am the Director of Engineering and Construction. So this is a neighborhood, obviously, you guys are aware of on the north side of our community, northwest side of our community. It's an older neighborhood. I think it's platted nearly 50 years ago. Infrastructure in it's aging, declining, and it's ready to be upgraded infrastructure-wise. So the project you see forward you today is a full rehabilitation of all of their sanitary lines and all of their water lines in the community. The sanitary sewer lines, I would say more than 90% of it will be pipe burst, which means that they're not actually digging down into the lines. They're bursting the existing pipe and bringing the new one through in that corridor, so it's not as invasive into the backyards. There is a small percentage of it that will have to be completely replaced, and that's really for the benefit of the homeowners there, because on the very southern end of that neighborhood, the sanitary line is, I think, only about 10 feet off of the houses on that south end. So that was the alternate that we're recommending award for, is to actually move that line further away from those houses in that area. Water line will also be a full rehab. So we did bid out the project following state bidding laws. We got several bidders, and the low bidder was Cherokee Pride for a total of $7,362,860. I will add the one thing, as you guys may ask, we did have a public meeting on this last week. We discussed it, had really great attendance, a lot of good questions. I feel like we answered most of the questions. And one thing that was also discussed there is we do also have the intent to do a full rehab of their pavement in the neighborhood, but our goal is to bid out that work about the time that we're finishing this work. So
I do not live in this neighborhood, but this neighborhood is in my ward, and I can tell you, I get so many requests, as well as everyone else, they are excited about getting those streets repaved, but like I keep telling them, we don't want to pave them just to tear them up again.
Right.
And I know how they're impatient, but we have to be good stewards of our city money, their money, you know, and this is the best way, but I'm just so glad to see the progress. We're getting there. And it was a good turnout for that meeting. There was a lot of people.
Excited to see the turnout. Good job with that as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, over the next year and a half, they're going to get a full upgrade, and it'll be a lot better.
They're very excited.
Yes.
I would be too.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
Whatever.
Whatever.
The lowest responsible bid. It wasn't
Item A.
coming up.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call. All right.
Thank you.
Item 6B, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of the fiscal year 24-25 financial plan for Broken Arrow Municipal Authority.
Good evening. At the council meeting, council approved resolution 1584 adopting the proposed budget of $472,198,240. This is the financial plan for the authority, and the authority needs to approve it. So staff is recommending the approval of the fiscal year 2025 Broken Arrow Municipal Authority financial plan.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
And I know we've thanked staff, but I don't think we can thank you guys enough, and for your work on putting these budgets together every year. I know how time consuming, and it's a lot, and so we appreciate you guys.
You'll get a hard copy of it in about 30
Another one? Great. I
We'll
needed another
read it.
binder. Yeah.
Cover to cover.
Thank you.
All right. Item 6C, consideration and discussion and possible approval to procure wager, this is my favorite one, I'm so excited. Wager odor control units for county line trunk sewer pursuant to a sole source. Tim Robbins, share the good news with us.
All right, Chair, Vice Chair, Trustees, General Manager, I'm Timothy Robbins, the Utilities Division, or the Utilities Department Director. Before you this evening is an item to procure a innovative sewer odor control unit that is branded by Wager. And this is for use in the county line trunk sewer, specifically in the area of 71st to 81st that we have prolific reports of odor issues, as you alluded to there. So what I wanted to do this evening is give you a little bit of a background story before we get into the actual unit, and give you a small update of what we've been doing to combat these odors that we've been seeing. So over the last 2-3 years, we've been really evaluating and observing where these odors have been. Prior to the 2020s, we used to see these odors all the way down south near the southern turnpike, around the south side, around 115th, all the way down to 121st. As you noticed, those odors have now transitioned to the north as we have completely rehabbed that entire southern section of sewer line. So through those evaluations, we've kind of noticed where those aging infrastructure has impacted us and moved where these odors are starting to come out of the system. So we've kind of looked at it as a holistic approach of where are these coming from, what's happening, what's generating these. And what we've kind of found is components of 3 objects, is aging infrastructure throughout the entire section. We have attacked these through numerous capital improvement projects that have really seen pretty huge dividends, especially in the south, as well as through the areas that we've gone in and replaced existing manholes that, while they're not all that old, the high gas content in there has actually eaten away the concrete. So what we're looking at is a gas issue. See, inside the sewer system, it's naturally producing an H2S gas. It's hydrogen sulfide. And this gas is generated from the breakdown of the products in the sewer system that are naturally forming. What you would normally expect to see is anywhere, we measure these in parts per million, we would normally see these from 50 to around 200 is in a normal range. What we have in that system is peaking over 2,000 in areas. When you look at OSHA, OSHA determines a hazardous environment. It's anywhere from 50 to 100 is obnoxious, it's odorous. Anywhere from up to about 5 to 700, it can create biological issues, it can create paralysis, it can kill you in a relatively short period of time if you're inside the environment. Over 1,000 parts per million, it corrodes the system, it corrodes the concrete, and in a confined space entry would be harmful in 10 seconds. So that's the kind of levels that we're dealing with. What we've noticed from our investigations here is it's created a lot by the system itself and the orientation in the lift stations on the north side of town, as well as the length of time it takes. As we've developed that northeast, there's a lot of those lift stations that are pumping to one to the other, and that turnover is what's creating these. We've also noticed an increase in this production of H2S from fats and oils and greases that are in the system that are generated from that district. A lot of these come from residential uses, a lot from commercial, and a lot from the restaurant businesses that are in that way. Now we are looking, the way that we're attacking those issues is through a lot of public education, pushing out programs that are going to be talking about fats, oils, and greases, as well as very diligent jobs by our sanitary sewer water quality staff in helping with restaurants to talk about grease and grease traps and trying to get ahead on that. So one other object that we've been tackling to try to address these odors is a chemical and biological component. Within this area, we have been introducing a chemical called Biochem. It's a company that produces a biological component that we are adding into the lift stations that's introduced into the environment to create microorganisms that exist in this inside the sewer system, and it'll actually eat away at it'll take the processes we do at the plant and puts it into the sewer system. So it's actually reducing the H2S gas inside the system. We're seeing dividends in that's reducing it down into the hundreds, as we did a 90-day test period where we just turned this system off. We've actually been using it since 2019, and it cut the gas content in there by several hundred parts per million down into manageable levels. So we've been implementing those aspects. Also, in the about 90 to 100 days ago, they implemented through authorization of council a new innovative component called the wager unit. So this wager unit is, let's go ahead and go to the last slide there. I kind of jumped up. Here on this map real quick, we're talking about the area in 71st to 81st. The first wager unit, it was implemented there just north of Houston. See where the sewer line there is on the yellow line that's going on the west side of county line? That is our sewer line. Right where it bends and goes back to the east, we introduced this unit. And what this unit does is it is a, go ahead and go to the third slide there. It is a unit that is freestanding. We connect it into the sewer system. There we go. City staff actually installed this unit. And what this unit does is it allows the gas that is inside the system to come through and into the unit, pass through it, and through chemical reactions that the media absorbs the gas, it turns it into an innate gas. It'll absorb it and produce an odorless, it'll absorb the odors and produce an odorless component that'll be released to the atmosphere. So it's been doing fantastic job. Scroll down for me a little bit. There we go. These are the components that are actually inside of it. So these are activated carbon and a specialty product that they manufacture that is landfill safe. So that's what makes these just even better, is they can just be taken right out and safely disposed of in the landfill. And they are electricless. So there's required no electricity to operate this unit. There's no fans, there's nothing like that that's needed for this. That's what is important here that deems this as a sole source product. There's nobody else on the market that we have been able to find or deem that is equivalent to this system. This system was implemented as a trial run, and it had produced solely by itself, without our biochem online, produced huge dividends in several hundreds of parts per millions of reduction. We actually saw this section go from 1,000 on an average high down into the 300 range. The goal here is to ultimately implement a larger sized unit that's specifically sized to the flow in the line, as well as our biochem system that will help contribute in twofold onto this system. And that is what's before you this evening. We have a properly sized unit that we would like to, upon approval, install this through city forces on the very north edge of the county line trunk sewer, right where all of the force mains dump into it. And it'll be located just south of Highway 51, where the old bridge along county line was. So as they're demoing that, right there's a manhole just to the west. We'll have full access to maintain it and operate it, and that's where we're seeing a lot of those gas pressures at. So with that will be the intentions for the north end. And then with, we would like to do probably about a 180-day trial with this, with doing a lot of data, and then likely come back with a future game plan for other locations in town with this provided that it proves dividends. So
I just was going to point out that those levels, you said that people would die, and they're not going to die if they smell them, because I've smelled them every day, several times a day, and I'm still alive. So you said they would die in 10 seconds. So
I apologize. I shouldn't. Thank you for that.
So
this is if you are inside the system.
I just wanted to clarify that, people, because some people don't listen to the whole thing.
That's right, and it's very important. It's a very good topic of to not. Our crews are specially trained to be in that environment, in lifting those manholes and accessing manholes. So we do very much on education of making sure the public do not touch manholes. They are, those lids are on there for a reason. So.
Well, we don't want to be known as the stinky city either.
No.
That's right.
So I'm glad we're working on
That's
this.
right. Effective sewer system management is what we're producing here, and it's environmentally safe, and it's budget conscious without the electricity needed. So.
I appreciate the hard work you put into it and the research. It seems very sophisticated, a lot more than my recommendation. I was going to just suggest putting some Beano in there, but I think this will be a whole lot better.
Did you say Beano?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
I think this will be a lot better.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay.
All right.
Do you have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a
Good
motion and
job.
a second.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Thanks, Tim.
All right. Any remarks from governing body members? City manager?
I can't top the Vino comment, so. None, ma'am.
Okay. We have no executive session.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
The motion and a second. Roll call. Call the Broken Arrow Economic Development Authority to order. Roll call.
Green.
Here.
Ford.
Here?
Parks.
Here.
Gillespie.
Here.
Wimpy.
Here. Any items from the consent agenda to be removed?
Make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. Roll call. There are no public hearings, appeals, presentation, recognitions, or awards. Item 6 is general authority business. 6A, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of the fiscal year 24-25 financial plan for the Broken Arrow Economic Development Authority. Cindy Arnold.
Yes, during the council meeting, council approved resolution number 1584, and this is just adopting Broken Arrow Economic Development Authority financial plan, which is $15,966,000.
Any discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Roll call.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 6B is consideration, discussion, and possible approval of and authorization to execute an economic development agreement between Wallman Brown Aspen Development LLC and the Broken Arrow Economic Development Authority. Jennifer Rush.
Good evening, Chair and Vice Chair, trustees, and City Manager. I'm pleased to be here on behalf of Norm Stevens. So he's on the beach, and somehow I'm presenting his economic development agreement. So I'm really happy to do this, especially for the item that we're presenting. So could you go to, on the economic development agreement attachment, see if we can see page 19, and if we can't see it very well, page 21. So I'm very excited about this. This is a long time coming, and so I want to talk to you about this agreement and what this would do for South Broken Arrow. So basically, this is for, it's a little blurry, but this is for the shops at Aspen Creek. So the shops at Aspen Creek, basically in September 2013, the City of Broken Arrow, Beta, the authority, and SIG Broken Arrow LTD entered into an economic development agreement for approximate 100-acre tract of land located adjacent to the Creek Turnpike between South Aspen Avenue and South Elm Place, which is now known as the Shops of Aspen Creek. So since that time, since 2013, Broken Arrow has received a luxury multi-screen movie theater as part of the development. And then also, if you go around there, there's a Great Clips Starbucks pop shelf. I believe a nail salon over there as well. However, much of the development wasn't what was intended for the development or what was promised to the residents and citizens of South Broken Arrow. And I know that this authority has been very cognizant of that. So recently, within the last year, maybe year and a half, the broker representing the property had secured several letters of intent for development, finally wanting to come into the area. And so the owners of the shops at Aspen Creek approached city staff with a request for additional incentives, so additional to what was given in 2013, in order to spur that retail growth. So during these discussions, the decision was made with the Broken Arrow Economic Development Authority to authorize the city manager to enter into negotiations with the owner to have the authority purchase that land and work with potentially a different developer that has done a lot more within our city. And so that was authorized, and the city will close on 38.26 acres by June 28th, 2024. So within the next week or so, we'll close on that land. So before you deny is an economic development agreement that's going to go along with finishing out this development and finishing out this area to bring it to what it needs to be in South Broken Arrow. So just hitting on some of the highlights of the agreement. Basically, the highlights of the agreement include Phase 1 of that agreement will be 160,000 square feet of retail commercial space that has, according to the developer's estimate, about 41 million in annual sales. So this is going to be a lot of those, clothing, other retailers that people have been asking for within this area for quite some time. Then the development agreement is divided up into 3 phases. So the next phase, phase 2, is 100,000 square feet of retail commercial space with an estimate of 25 million in annual sales. And then phase 3 is a smaller piece. So that's about 20,000 square feet of retail commercial space with the developer's estimate of 10 million in annual sales. So in order to do this, basically the economic development agreement outlines the incentives given to the developer to finish this out. So phase 1 would include the property sale of approximately 22.75 acres to the developer for the sum of $10. Included in this would also be incentives in the amount not to exceed $6 million for reimbursement of project infrastructure. All infrastructure paid for by the authority will be dedicated to the city by the developer once it's completed, and the developer will maintain ownership of this parking lot as constructed and will be solely responsible for its upkeep and maintenance. So once phase 1 is complete, the developer has not asked for any additional incentives for phase 2 or phase 3. So it's important to note. So under phase 2, the authority will sell to the developer the north 13.21 acres for the sum of $2 a square foot, totaling a little over 1.1 million. And then phase 3, upon the completion of phase 2, or in tandem specifically, depending on what's coming in, the authority will sell to the developer the remaining 2.3 acres for the sum of $6 per square foot, totaling about $600,000 to be paid at closing. So the important thing to note within this agreement is that the city has a long relationship with this developer who has brought a lot of good things to Broken Arrow, and not only Broken Arrow in itself, but within the region. I think a lot of the developers and a lot of the brokers within the area realize that this area, it's time for it to flourish. And so we're really excited about his investment with the project and with the area in general. Also included in this agreement is there's a lot of information that agrees to timely completion of the construction obligation. So within those phases, there's timelines set forth for the start and completion of these details, which I know is important to this authority as well.
There's something lacking in the last agreement.
So we took the information and things that the authority talked about and put them into the development agreement. And I have the developers here if there's any questions or if you'd like them to present on anything, and I'm here for any questions as well.
Yeah, I mean, we'd love to hear from Mr. Wallman.
All right, this is Steve Wallman with Wallman Commercial.
Madam Mayor, councilors, good to see you again. Thank you for your time and consideration. Last time I here, I think we were talking about Tiger Hill Plaza, which
that turned out okay.
It turned out okay. I lost a lot of hair on the top of my head, but it got done during a pandemic, by the way.
Yeah.
Just a quick summary. We were engaged by the developer. We were probably the 5th broker on this project to try and create some interest from national tenants to come to South Broken Arrow. We worked very hard for a year and a half to make that happen and came up with over 100,000 feet of letters of intent and leases out. And as many of you are aware, the conditions within the market relative to the cost of money, the cost of labor, materials, all became factors against being able to do out of the ground construction, particularly for retail. Tenants wouldn't pay what it took, so that's where stagnation takes place. We understand, we're members of the community, we understand that when you get this kind of momentum, you can't afford to let it go. If you let it go, it doesn't come back for a long time. And so the circumstances were that we had tenants and we didn't have a developer. And we went and looked at other development opportunities, but coming in and asking someone to do a $34 million development quickly is not an easy call. And so working with your fine city people, Norm Stevens, Mr. Spurgeon, Jennifer, Kenny, everybody that I deal with at the city, I've got the highest regard for. We really took this in as a team approach is, hey, we're all in this boat together. You know, we've got a bunch of leases. We've got tenants that want to be here, national tenants. We've got a great site that can offer to be the hub of the retail community of South Broken Arrow. And this kind of gravity into a market is the catalyst for other tenants and restaurants and other people. So I see phase one as a critical part of it. You know, phase two and phase three and what happens on the peripheral of this will all be functions of whether that is successful or not. So I won't go into any more detail than this needs to happen. I am not a young guy looking to, you know, I'm sensitive to a community. At my stage of my career, I've done a lot of retail. I've done over 15 shopping centers in this market. My goal isn't your time frame. My goal will be the tenant's time frame. They want spaces in 26. By God, I'm going to deliver them. So I appreciate the obligations that are on there, and I actually suggested some of the buybacks and other things. I said, you know what? The city needs to benefit as much as possible from what they do up front. Because again, this is a team situation here. So I'm committed from a personal standpoint. From a professional standpoint, I'm excited to have this much interest in South Broken Arrow. I honestly think it will be something that serves the community over a long period of time. I already know more investments going on the peripheral of this site, and some of it is a function of anticipating this. So all I'd say is it's a tall hill to climb in a market that is not conducive to it, but we have the tenants where we've got the backstop of our general partnership that will finance it, and we're ready to go. This isn't something where we'll start from square one. We're down the road, and once we get here, we don't stop unless you all tell us to. So appreciate the time to give you a summary of it. Any questions, I'm happy to answer.
We first started talking about this, if I can, Madam Chair, last August I mentioned to council the possibility of this happening, and we've been in constant back and forth negotiations since then, and I think that we have something that I would definitely understand all the concerns related to use of city money to try to find the best deal, not being in the real estate holdings and so forth, you know, but what's really most important about this is the fact that while we have committed, it's going to start generating sales tax dollars for the city, the city coffers from the first time the business is open, which I think is important to make sure that we start actually collecting something. And so I've looked through this, and I would recommend the council strongly consider this.
This area is in my ward, and it's one of the reasons I got elected originally, because of it not developing and people feeling like South Broken Arrow had been kind of ignored. And, you know, like Mr. Spurgeon mentioned, it kind of made me, just the government owning land is something that just I don't necessarily agree with. But this deal, because it's something, first of all, that these are businesses that are going to benefit the whole community and not just to select, like, certain people want to shop here. These are businesses that the whole community will enjoy spending their money, but then also there's an ROI here. We're going to get an immediate return on our investment and be able to replace the money that we invest. And I do believe it's an investment. It's not an expense. It's an investment. And so I'm excited about it moving forward quickly. I'm glad to hear you say quickly, because that's, you know, the speed of government, that isn't how I work.
We don't move at the speed of government.
Yeah, that's
we
right.
move this,
I like it.
When we sign these leases, they don't say, hey, when you're done, we'll take the space. They say, deliver it now, else write a really large check every day until you do. Okay. And so, yeah, I'm on a different time frame. And I completely agree with you. I'm not philosophically,
right.
You know, government should have know there's a line not to cross. Mm-hmm. But again, when you look at the circumstances of the economy, and if you said if the government wasn't proactive, you would not get a shopping center here. You could not make it viable. And I will say, I represent Ross Dress for Less and Sprouts in the state of Oklahoma. I'm not aware of any project that we're looking at on any of those that doesn't have an incentivization attached to it. If it doesn't, it ain't happening. So again, the forethought of the city. I don't like, I mean, I am sensitive to that from a philosophical standpoint, but also if we have the ability to do this kind of impact to the city, I don't think I don't feel like we can all afford to walk away from it. But thank you.
I will say, as a resident of South Broken Arrow and the newest council member, that was one of my priorities, was making sure that we were on top of our economic development and being equitable throughout the city. A lot of stuff moved from south to north, and things were happening north, and like the Vice Mayor said, you know, it's time for some things to go back south, and just to make sure that all citizens have the opportunity to enjoy these things and economic development that's going on here in Broken Arrow is crucial. It's very important. So I appreciate the effort that you're putting into this, and I think it's going to make, again, a huge impact just in our city in general. It's going to, I can tell you personally from living out south, we have a lot of our residents who don't want to drive the Lynn Lane, whatever you want to call it, corridor up here to go to Lowe's, and would rather go to Bixby. And that's tax dollars leaving our city going to Bixby, or don't want to go to the Chick-fil-A over there, but they would go to Bixby. And this is going to...
Well, they can stay in South BA now for Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Yes, they can now. But this is going to definitely help, and again, bring a larger return back to our city. So we appreciate this opportunity to partner.
Thank you. And just a little feedback to that, it's encouraging. These aren't the only people we're talking to, because we have a phase 2 and additional projects planned. But I'm talking to nationals that understand this market, and they're saying South Broken Arrow's
that's the place to be.
Kind of the future trade area for us. And so that's encouraging to hear. You know, I don't have to stomp my feet. I just have to show them the growth and the quality of life. But again, it goes back to that. Once you get the herd in, once you can get that critical mass, then you're not the Donner Party, right? Because the first one out is everybody's afraid of, you know, who's chewing on my leg. Here, we put that down, and nobody's got a question on whether we're the first ones to the dance. So I'll leave it with that comment, unless I have other questions.
That was a great comment.
That was good. Very nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, any other questions?
I will make a motion to approve and authorize execution of this economic development agreement.
Second that motion.
I saw that coming.
I know, that's what I was like, I just was standing back.
Standing back. Motion and a second. Roll call. All right, remarks and inquiries by governing body members.
Well, this what we just voted on is going to be exciting for South Broken Arrow, but it's going to be exciting for our whole
Yes,
city.
absolutely.
And any time we can keep our sales taxes in our city is a good thing for everybody. So
Yeah.
I am excited about
Will
it.
greatly limit the reasons why people go to Bixby, that's for sure.
Yes.
All right, City Manager?
I have, Madam Chair, just 2 items, both related to the EDC. So the recruitment process has started to select the next chamber president, CEO, and the mayor. As you know, the mayor and I are part of that selection process. So I want to let you know as applications are being received, and at some point we'll begin the interview process. I probably wouldn't think it to be sometime till next month. And secondly is we had an additional meeting today with regard to renewal of the contract, and there were several members of the actual board of directors, as well as Mr. Fram was there, and Jennifer Rush and I were there, and it was a very, very positive meeting and going very well. And I fully anticipate that we will have a new agreement for your consideration at the July 15th council meeting.
Thank you.
That's all.
Thank you.
I know.
We have no executive
us or
session.
something. Motion to adjourn?
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call. Entertain a motion to take a brief recess.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Green.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
Parks.
Yes.
Gillespie.
Yes.
Wimpy.
Yes.
Across the hall. I'll be back. Because I think Spurgeon ran his bathroom here. No, I'm good. I don't want everyone.